Hello folks, it's Marji Roy from 3dcuts.com, and today I'm going to be doing the tutorial for my new deer shadow box. I've done a number of deer shadow boxes. I've done them in the star frame, I've done little ones. This is the first time I've done a large square one, and I'm going to call this one Deer at Moonrise so that we'll know which one we're talking about. This one is not illuminated. I had started thinking it would be, but when I got it together, it really didn't need the added illumination. I like it just the way it is. Please, if this is your first file with me, or if you need more information, go to my website at 3dcuts.com at the address shown on the screen. Important information is there, including things like sizing. Not all software and cutting machines bring things in the same size, and you don't want to cut all of these and then find out that your size was different. Also, it can be adjusted to whatever size your shadow box is. This shadow box sells as an 11 by 11 shadow box, but it is 12 by 12. The inside is 11 by 11, and when I take it apart, there is an inside collar, and the inside of that is 10.5 by 10.5. Before you cut your pieces, know all of these measurements so that you're sure you're cutting them the right size. If you put them all into one canvas workspace, group them together, you can shrink or expand everything together just a tiny little bit to make sure that it'll fit inside your shadow box. Let's get started. I have already cut out all of the pieces on my cutting machine. I used vanilla AC cardstock, and I used some black, and I used some gray. In the download, there is also a sky. This is the sky file that I used for this example. You can use anything for your sky. You could watercolor a piece of paper, but this is there for you to print. I printed this on my color inkjet printer on the best setting to get the nice gradation. And I just printed on an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. That is enough to fill the space needed on this particular shadow box. We'll put that to the side. We don't need that yet. Now here are all of the layers. The trickiest part in this whole shadow box is cutting these delicate layers. I used a premium blade, and I used high quality cardstock, and I'm really very pleased with how beautifully these did indeed cut. Now we are going to start making each of these layers complete, adding on to them the things we need to add on. And we're going to start with, let's see, layer 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth layer. It has 3 trees on it, and you will need to find the 3 trees that match them. One is this one, and the other is this double set here. They are not an identical match, it's just the outline that'll match, and the interiors will appear like snow. So let's get rid of all these other parts. These will get adhered to the front of this layer. I am going to be using art glitter glue. I have transferred it into this little container because it has a small nozzle and will give me great control. I like using art glitter glue. There's certainly an argument for using spray glue on these because they're so intricate, but I like to have a little bit of time to position. And in using things like spray glue, you don't have much time at all. So I'm going to use the dot method and just put a few dots of glue onto the back of these. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I don't want it to start drying on me. Make sure each tip has a little glue on it. That's probably enough to start my positioning. I am going to line it up. This one should line up perfectly at the top. I don't want a white margin showing. When I get down, I will, oh, I got my glue there. See how I am needing to slide it, which is why I'm worried about using a spray adhesive or a Xyron on something this intricate. So some of the branches line up perfectly, and in other areas there is snow there filling in the spots. Let's keep working down. Okay, tree 1 is in place. Let's move over and do the same to tree 2 and 3. Again, art glitter glue, little dots of glue on the back side. Okay, the 4th layer is ready. We'll put that to the side and we will work on the 3rd layer. The 3rd layer has the 2 deer on it, plus their shadows, and the 2nd layer will get adhered in front of it as well. So let's start with the deer. Let's find all of our parts for this layer. We will have the buck's shadow, the doe's shadow, the doe, and that's it at this point. We will take the glitter glue and I'm going to put it on the buck on the background here. It is slightly smaller than the back buck that gets glued onto the front. And we'll do the same with the doe. On the doe, I'm going to put it on the black piece because too much of it overhangs and I won't get all the spots. And she's in place. Next is the gray shadow. The gray shadow will be placed so that the gray covers the bottom of the hooves of each of the deer. That'll show you the angle that they're supposed to be here. I did that so it would look like the deer hoofs were in the snow. There we go. Now let's get the doe. I can see her tail didn't weed out. And again, test the position. Her mouth needs to hook up with her mouth there, so be sure you get that detail in place. Okay, dots of glue. Now you can see in a couple of areas I wasn't completely successful in hiding the white layer behind. I'm just going to take a Sharpie marker and very carefully color that in so it doesn't catch my eye in the shadow box. Any place you see some white, just okay. Now let's put that temporarily to the side. It's not done yet. Layer 2 is going to be attached to it, but there were 2 small stumps of birch tree here. These are going to be glued onto the back side of the bottom of the birch tree. It will be attached to layer 3, but we want it to have a little bit of definition and stand out in front of it. So let's take these and we will glue this one. Probably should have put the glue on this side. Into place. It appears that I might have stretched the tree a little bit. I'm going to have to fix those pieces in the download. And this one. There we go. Now this one will get glued on here. Like so. This has good definition, and this gray piece, shadow, will get glued there. So let's take this, turn it over. We really are only concerned with the edge here and the double stack here. It would probably be easier to go this way. Like so. Now let's take the shadow. Make sure you're putting the glue on the back side. And position that in place as well. The 2 bases line up. This will be covered by another layer, so the fact that it's cut off short doesn't matter at all. Okay, level 2-3 is now complete. We'll put that to the side and bring in level 1. Level 1 is another tree layer, and we will take the 2 remaining trees and line them up here so that we understand what direction they go. This one should line up with the bottom and the side over here, although the more important edges are the edges here, and the same with this one. This is the same technique as we used on level 3. You turn it over and we put dots of glue on the back of the black side. I will not do the whole thing. I will only do a part of it so that I can still reposition as I come down. That's a good point to stop. There we go. And fold it back, add some more, and continue going down. This outside edge here is where placement is crucial, critical. And the tricky part of this design is how I used the white to make it look like it is covered in snow. I did choose to use a vanilla because it is on moon glow, and the moon gives a yellowy glow. I should have started at the top here, and I didn't, so that might... There. Now let's go back and take the layer 2 and put it behind this one. That is going to help us place the shadow. the remaining shadow of the birch tree would come down, go behind the hill here, and then come up and loop off like this. So it is going to go about like that. Most of this is not visible because of the frame, and so we will cut these off, but that's where we're going to want to place that. So we'll take this, add the glue using the dots, and put it into place. There we go. I will trim these. Now let's work on the front frame. In my original, I did not put a colored border here, and on this one I'm going to try. I would have liked to have had a nice peach, but I don't have it, so I'm going to try a gray one instead. The front border is going to be made up of 2 pieces. Whoops. I'm going to have the vanilla that matches the rest on the back, and then this right to the inside of it, so that there's a nice gray border with a white that matches the inside. I am going to glue these together so that they will not slip apart in the frame. Doesn't need a lot of glue, but just a little bit for security. There we go. Okay, let's put our shadow box together now. Okay, take your shadow box apart. I particularly like this shadow box because it comes apart easily and I can use it for multiple kinds of things. You are going to have to pay attention to the size of your shadow box and the size of the insert, especially if you're using a shadow box different than mine. I designed the inside pieces to go here, but this comes out and the frame goes in first. If you haven't already done so, wash and dry the glass before you put this together. We will start by putting the front frame in first. I have another stray piece here. Make sure you get those all out because they will show. There we go. Now, we are going to do a new technique for putting shadow boxes together. Traditionally, my shadow boxes have had the zigzag supports on the side, and that has been time consuming. I am going to use drinking straws. I purchased from Amazon a bag of 250 drinking straws that are 10 inches by 0.28 inch round. And these are perfect for this shadow box. If you downsize this, you will have to downsize your straw. And if you use a shadow box that is not as deep as this one, and I believe this one is 2 1/4 deep, you will have to use a smaller straw. For each of these straws, you have to prepare them for your shadow box. I took each one, and I did this while my pieces were cutting out. I took 1/8 inch score tape, and I ran a straight strip of it down one side of the straw. I then turned it over, and on the other side, exactly across, I ran another line of score tape. I left the backing on all of these. I also get score tape from Amazon. Okay, you will need 18 of these, and I have already done all of mine so that you didn't have to sit here and watch me do that. Okay, we will put those to the side. Come back to my shadow box. Notice what side's top. This frame now goes inside, and it'll hold the front piece against the glass. I will take my first straw, peel it, center it, put it against the frame, and press it in place. These are going to be the spacers. I'm leaving a space here and a space here. I'm going to do this on all 4 sides. Peel it, turn, stick in place. I'm putting them right up against this. After you have 4 in place, you can peel these if you're feeling very confident about this, but if you'd like to see it all together before you completely adhere everything, you can do so. So I'm going to not peel these at this point. I'm going to put the next one in and make sure it fits. It does. Make sure it's the right one. That is layer 1. Make sure the bottoms line up. These are a little bit smaller than the frame. And now I'm going to apply 4 more straws. Again, right against these edges. Not only do the straws provide spacing, they also help keep the paper layers, the cardstock layers, from warping. Now I'm going to place in the layer 2, 3. That's the one with our deer. Again, make sure it's down here at the bottom. Put on 4 straws, spacers. Now, before I put the last level on, I am going to take a short straw. I'm going to put it in back here to help keep the layers well positioned even in the center. This is just an extra support in there. It's going to go right about there. Down low enough so it won't be visible from the front, but there to help us keep our layers separate. Then the last layer goes in. And here on the last layer, I am also going to put one here to help support it and keep it from going back against the sky. I didn't make enough, so I'm going to have to make one more. And this one is going to go right about there. Now our sun is going to go in here, our moon rather. And I can take this now and flip it over and look at it because it will hold together. Oh, isn't that stunning? Now, what I need to do is understand the placement of this moonrise. I can have it positioned higher in the sky with more moon showing, like that, or like this with less. I'm going to go right about. And how far over do I want the moon? There is no moon, it's just the glow of the moon. I'm going to do it about like there. So let's get this back. I'm going to flip these together. And I am going to mark. Oh, okay, I don't have to cut much. I'm going to cut this side here. And I'm going to cut this side here. When I cut this, some of this white margin may show. It doesn't matter because it's all behind this frame here. I'm going to go over to my paper cutter and cut those two edges now. And my sky will go in there like that. So, if you are pleased with it, and I am, we can now glue all of the layers together in their final format. So, we have the frame in, and we have the inside collar in place. I am now going to peel off the other layer on each of the straws. And position each layer in place. Gently pressing as we build. Last layer. Be careful not to put the glow upside down. Now on this particular shadow box, I have a little more depth than I need. I am going to put in a few spacers so that this won't tilt back when it's being displayed on the wall. So let me get a little bit more with some of my leftover straws here. These do not need to be glue on two sides. One side is plenty. And I'm going to put one at the top, one on each side. And now I'm going to take the backing that came with this frame and put it back into place. And let's take a peek, shall we? Oh, wow. Isn't that stunning? Who are you going to give yours to? And what will be your next project? Happy crafting, everyone, and thanks for watching.